I need to say something that most people won't tell you. Personal development, the books, the courses, the seminars, the strategies, it usually doesn't work if you've been through trauma. Not because you don't want it badly enough, not because you're lazy, but because the very systems that are supposed to help you change are built for people whose brains and nervous systems are steady enough to stick with them. And when you've lived through abuse or neglect, that steadiness is the very thing that's missing. So instead of feeling stronger, all that self-improvement work can make you feel more ashamed, more behind, and more hopeless. And if you've been through trauma, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You hear, be more confident, and you try. You force yourself to speak up at work or to say no in a relationship. And instead of feeling powerful, you shake, you go blank, you cry in the car on the way home. You hear something like, just set boundaries. So you do it once, and the other person gets mad or they ghost you, and suddenly the guilt comes crashing in, and then you backpedal because keeping people calm feels safer than standing up for yourself. Or you hear all your competition for your business, they're going to jump on AI and they're going to 10x their business this year. What are you doing? I guess you can guess that I hear stuff like that. So instead of feeling inspired, stuff like that, when it's just so extreme and your system is dysregulated, your mind will blank out and you feel like you have to go lie down, sort of counterproductive. So this is the problem. Personal development advice, it might be excellent advice, but it assumes you have a baseline of stability. But when you grew up in chaos, that baseline isn't there yet. So the advice that's supposed to lift you ends up crushing you. So here's one that used to crush me. People used to always say, Anna, I think you just need to love yourself. I'm sort of laughing. I'm laughing because it's absurd when you're in the middle of a trauma storm and everything's terrible, that, the only problem here is that you don't love yourself. And first of all, that's not true. It's not the only problem. But it is often the consequence of a very hard life where people have abused you, neglected you, and then your trauma-driven behaviors and your dysregulation and your alienation from other people has driven you towards more trauma experiences, and you can feel pretty down. So this idea, you just need to love yourself, in a way always hit me as sounding so arrogant, like, oh, that's what you think is going on here? Like, I just didn't realize that. Oh, I just need to love myself. It's not that simple. That is that is a luxury that people can enjoy when the only problem really is that they forgot how much they love themselves. Now, if you were rejected by your parents when you were a kid, my mom rejected me. I think that's a big place where self-love comes from. And some people will say, oh, so you just have to give that to yourself. But how would you even do that? I'll tell you, for me, I did it in a different path. I do feel that I have very healthy love for myself right now, and I'll protect myself and honor myself. But where I had to start was from a place of absolutely hating myself. And I had a couple people in my life over the years who I loved very, very much. And there was something about loving other people and seeing the best in them that had this like boomerang effect, that because I was engaged in loving somebody in the outward direction, it sort of looped back and I loved myself as well. Like, if a human is lovable and I'm human, then I don't know, it just can't help but leak on you. But even more important, what helped me to love myself was that I started to change my trauma-driven behaviors. I was angry at myself because I kept screwing everything up, and I didn't know why. I had to find tools, like my daily practice, like spending significant time with people who were working on themselves and not the other kind. Like, I stopped hanging out with destructive people. And I was learning so much that I was able to start taking positive steps forward in my life. And when you do that, every time you do something that's like sane, logical, helpful, you pay a bill, you speak the apology, you show up on time, you do start to feel better about yourself. And that's where it came from. I couldn't do those things when I was just throttled with trauma symptoms. I couldn't do it. So it begins in a different place for us sometimes. But we always want to be moving in that direction of showing up for ourselves, being honorable to other people, learning to sensitize to what social situations require. These are the things that help you start feeling good about yourself. But at the root of it, it was my love for a few other people, that that really became love of myself too, to just be sitting in the bathtub of love wherever you find it. I'll tell you, having kids was one of the most healing things ever. I always wanted kids, and I was very excited to have kids, and my life was chaotic enough that it happened at an unplanned time in an inconvenient way. It wasn't how I would have planned it, but I'm so grateful I had it because I love my kids so much. And as little children, to just like be loving a child and to be engaged in that like duo of like just love, because they love you right back, I'll tell you that, was so healing for me. What I didn't get from my mother, I got to experience as a mother. And so that also, that experience of loving my kids just made my heart like big and strong and allowed me to love many people. So you find that love where you can, but you seek it always. Try to take care of your life. You can do loving actions towards your own life. Even when you don't feel the love towards yourself. And a loving action towards your own life is to do the honorable things, show up on time, eat healthy food, go to sleep right now, refrain from getting into a nasty fight with somebody. Some of these things I totally know. I've been there. Like, you don't always have the strength inside, not only to stay out of trouble like that, but to even see what the right action is. But it comes when you begin to put it, one foot in front of the other. This is a very simple mantra my husband taught me. He's from Northern England. They have simple mantras up there. Not like Northern California where I grew up, where it's all in another language. It's positive attitude, one foot in front of the other. It's very simple, but it's a good thing to have in the back of your mind as you just try to improvise the moments of your life and you don't know what you're doing. I don't know. I'll just try to believe that I can find a better way forward here for this very next step that I have to do. And I'll take the step. I'll move forward. If nothing else, this is very powerful. Loving other people, loving yourself, being loved, being productive and successful, they're all part of what we want to develop as we're healing. But it's not a single change that you make. Nobody does it that way, no matter what they brag about on Instagram. You can't take that literally, okay? Not even on my Instagram. I always want to look pretty. I always want to look clever, right? So, you could just take it as fact. There's more under the surface. Personal development works by layering new habits on top of already steady foundations. So we're working on our foundation here. That's what we do at Crappy Childhood Fairy. Trauma takes away your foundation. Dysregulation means that under stress, your focus, your emotions, your judgment can all go kind of off base. So you push yourself, this is the reflex. I got to push myself. I'll hustle harder. I'll go faster. I'll fake it till I make it. And when that doesn't stick, then, it's easy to conclude, oh, well, I'm just a loser. That's the problem. And that shame confirms the very wounds you were trying to heal. So it's not that you can't grow. You can, but you can't build skyscrapers on quicksand. So first, you need to become aware of dysregulation when it's happening. Do you know the signs of that? I've got a free download. You can have it. I'll give it to you. I'll put a link to it down in the top row of the description section below this video. So you can just see what are the noticeable signs when your nervous system is doing that, when it's reacting to stress by kind of glitching. That's not a good time to try to make major decisions or to try to read situations and figure out how bad they are. We are prone to error when we're dysregulated. So get that sheet, get your own copy of it so you can check what's going on with you, see what you think. To change, you have to work differently. So what does work differently look like? I hate platitudes. I will try to be specific with you here. Here are some steps that actually help you make progress when you're too dysregulated to follow the usual systems. 1, work in shorter bursts. Don't commit to 3 hours at the gym or a whole day project. Decide what you can do for 20 minutes and stop while you still have energy. And that way you'll come back tomorrow instead of avoiding it for weeks. Number 2, strengthen before you fix. Trauma can make you obsess over problems. You know that, right? Yeah. Flip that. Each day, choose one action that gives you a little more stability, positive attitude, one foot in front of the other, like cooking a real meal, paying a bill, cleaning just one corner of your room. These little small things matter. They start to inform you and inspire you to do another small thing. Number 3, just take one priority at a time. Now, because of dysregulation, our minds will often just sort of flood with all the priorities at once. We can't sort them. We try to take them all on at once. If you're working on health, don't also take on starting a business and reworking your relationships all in the same month. You know who I learned this from? Susan Pierce Thompson, who created Bright Line Eating. And her revelatory idea was, when you're working on changing how you eat, don't worry about exercise unless it's totally a natural part of your day. I was like, what? Don't you have to diet and work out all the time, all at once and change your life? But she just pointed out, you have this much willpower, you use it for one thing at a time, right? People who try to do it all at once are usually New Year's resolution syndrome, by January 4th or something, it's all over. So trauma brains get overwhelmed by too many moving parts. Just stabilize one before stacking another one on top of it. Number 4, expect setbacks and plan around them. You're going to get dysregulated. That doesn't mean that you failed. Progress is about knowing you'll be knocked off track and having a way to come back from it. Maybe that means writing it down, rescheduling, or just starting again tomorrow. That's one of my favorite ones. Just start over. Every day's another chance. Number 5, use structure, even if it feels uncomfortable. A lot of us with trauma, we hate routines, but we respond very well to routines. Without structure, life can just slip into chaos. And so we just conscientiously set a simple rhythm. When you wake up, when you eat, when you go to bed. Predictability brings calm. Number 6, stay connected while you change. Don't try to change your whole life in isolation and thinking, oh, then I'll go connect with everybody when I'm all fixed. Progress sticks when other people witness it with you, when your friends or recovery groups or in programs like my membership program, where you're supported by people who are working on changing their lives too. And you become a positive influence on each other and you're growing together and you're seeing that growth in other people. Even on your bad day, you see somebody else that's like, oh, they did this positive thing and something got better for them. You're like a sponge. You're growing and learning all the time. So you want to be surrounded with these people. You don't want to be in isolation. It's easy for the negatives to feel exaggerated in isolation. So these aren't glamorous steps. They won't get you a quick transformation, but they work with the reality of trauma instead of against it. And here's what makes this especially hard for women. Many of us adapted to chaos early on by learning to overfunction, being nice, keep people calm, take care of everyone else, and just get stuff done, right? That fear of abandonment and, getting cast out or losing everything, it runs very deep. So when we hear self-help advice, we tend to over-apply it. We don't know the healthy portion. We don't just set boundaries. We try to become the perfect boundary setter. And we don't just work harder. We work ourselves into collapse and burnout. But the underlying dysregulation, doesn't get healed when that's what's going on. And instead of becoming empowered, we end up depleted, resentful, and ashamed. And that's why you see women burning out in careers, staying in bad relationships, and cycling through expensive programs. How many of you paid for, right? The advice says, rise above. Trauma keeps pulling you back under until you address the core wound that makes it so hard to sustain, and that is dysregulation. So here's the hopeful part. You don't need to become some superhuman version of yourself to heal. You don't need to chase the next motivational high, rah-rah. What you need is stability to connect with people who see you and accept you. And very importantly, to get regulated. If you want help with that, I have this little gem of a course called Dysregulation Bootcamp. It's short, it's sweet, and I'll teach you all the basics of how to do this. I'll put a link to that course in the second line of the description section below this video. That's the real foundation, re-regulation. And once you have it, all the advice about confidence and goals and boundaries finally start to work because it's built on solid ground. So if personal development, all these things that other people do that they find so empowering, if it's failed you before, stop blaming yourself. It means that you need tools that fit the reality of where you are right now. Tools that bring regulation. tools that build connection. That's how you change your life, not by forcing yourself into systems that don't fit, sound good, don't work, but by testing and using what works for you personally and slowly building the stability that makes growth possible. And then a lot of that personal development stuff does become possible. How about that? You can get there. You absolutely can do this. Healing is possible. And the point of healing is to free all that possibility within you that the world needs. If you like this video, I've got one that you're going to love right here, and I'll see you very soon. You know you should declutter, but you have a lack of power to do it. Not doing it makes all the other problems in your life a little worse.